The golden lights from the Christmas tree flickered across the living room of the Hayes suburban home. Lauren Hayes, 6 months pregnant, carefully hung the last silver ornament, a tiny angel her mother had given her. Outside, snow whispered against the windows, soft and calm. Inside, something didn't feel right. Her husband, Ethan, had texted half an hour ago. "Late meeting in Midtown. Don't wait up." She wanted to believe him, the same way she had believed him every other night this month. But tonight, the lie carried a different weight. When she walked into the laundry room, she found his wool scarf tossed over the dryer. Lauren picked it up and froze. The scent was intoxicating sweet jasmine, and something deeper, expensive, foreign. Not her perfume. Not anything she'd ever worn. The smell clung to her fingers like guilt. She turned the scarf over and noticed a faint smudge of lipstick near the edge. Rose pink. Not the color she owned. Her heart began to pound. She tried to shake it off, tried to remind herself that hormones made her emotional. Maybe he hugged a client. Maybe she was overreacting. Then she noticed a small blue box on the kitchen counter. Tiffany. Inside was a single diamond earring, just one. She remembered Ethan saying he had a last-minute client gift to wrap. The jewelry tag was still tucked under the ribbon. No note, no receipt, no explanation. Lauren sat down, her hands trembling. The house felt larger than ever, beautiful, expensive, and utterly hollow. On the dining table, the ultrasound photo of their baby smiled up at her, tiny hands raised as if asking for protection. She picked up her phone and opened their shared credit card app. One new transaction blinked at the top of the list. The River Cafe, Brooklyn, NY. $640. The timestamp read 7:12 p.m. Her stomach turned. That was the exact moment she'd texted him, asking if he'd be home for dinner. He'd replied with one word: busy. Lauren stood up slowly, her breath uneven. Through the window, the lights from neighboring houses shimmered in the snow. Families gathering, laughter echoing faintly through the night. She wrapped her coat around her belly and whispered, "Not tonight." She grabbed her car keys. The reflection in the hallway mirror startled her, a pale face, wet eyes, and a strength she didn't know she had. As she stepped into the freezing night, her phone buzzed again. It was Ethan. "Don't wait up," he'd written again. Lauren looked at the message, then at the glowing skyline in the distance. Her lips trembled, but her voice came out calm. "You'll wish I did." She had no idea that tonight's drive would change everything, and that her revenge had already begun. Snow was falling hard over the Manhattan Bridge, turning the city into a quiet storm of silver and white. Lauren gripped the steering wheel tighter, her breath fogging the windshield of her old Toyota Camry. Her heart thudded louder than the wipers. Every streetlight reflected off the icy asphalt like broken glass. She wasn't sure if she was trembling from cold or fear or both. Her phone buzzed again on the passenger seat. A message preview flashed across the screen. "Table for 2, Mr. Cole. Confirmed at 7 p.m. The River Cafe." The restaurant's name glowed like a cruel joke. That wasn't her reservation. But it was his last name. Ethan's. She pulled into a parking spot near the East River. From where she sat, the skyline of Lower Manhattan sparkled across the water, framed by the Brooklyn Bridge. It was the kind of place people proposed marriage, not destroyed one. Lauren watched through the frosty window as couples in evening coats walked toward the restaurant entrance, their laughter soft, their footsteps light. Inside the car, silence. She could hear only her own breath and the faint ticking of the dashboard clock. The baby kicked once small, desperate. "It's okay, sweetheart," she whispered, one hand over her belly. "Mommy just needs to know the truth." At 7:10, Ethan appeared. Even from a distance, she recognized the confident stride, the tailored navy coat she'd ironed that morning, the Rolex that shimmered when he raised his arm. But what froze her heart wasn't the man, it was the woman walking beside him. Madison Reed, his assistant. Young, striking, with bright red lipstick that matched the wine-colored dress hugging her figure. Ethan placed a hand on the small of Madison's back as the hostess led them to a corner table by the window, Lauren's favorite spot, the one she'd once called "our view." Tears blurred her vision. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. The world outside the car seemed muted, like a movie with no sound. She grabbed her iPhone, turned on the camera, and zoomed in. A perfect shot. Ethan leaning closer to Madison, whispering something that made her laugh. Then the moment that shattered her. His lips brushed Madison's cheek, lingering far too long to be innocent. The flash went off accidentally. Lauren ducked instantly, her pulse racing. But no one noticed. The glass reflected only candlelight and snow. She sat there, clutching the phone, shaking. She wanted to storm inside, to scream his name, to tell everyone this was her husband, her life. But instead, she pressed save and placed the phone down carefully. She needed proof, not drama. The waiter poured wine. Ethan raised his glass, smiling that same smile he'd used on her during their first Christmas together at the Plaza Hotel. She remembered how he'd promised her, "You'll never spend a holiday alone again." The irony cut deeper than the winter air. Her stomach twisted, another sharp cramp forcing her to breathe slowly. She leaned back, trying to steady herself. Through the window, the bridge lights flickered, reflecting off the East River like thousands of tiny broken promises. Lauren took one last look, memorizing every detail, the flicker of his watch, the curl of Madison's fingers around her wineglass, the empty chair beside them that should have been hers. Then she whispered, "Merry Christmas, Ethan." She started the car, eyes wet but steady. Her next stop wasn't home. It was the truth. And as the snow thickened behind her, Lauren didn't realize this photo would soon ruin his perfect life. The next morning, Manhattan was quiet beneath a thin layer of snow, the kind that made the city look pure even when it wasn't. Lauren sat at the small kitchen table, the Tiffany box beside her coffee cup. Her eyes were swollen from the night before, but her heart had gone strangely still. It wasn't shock anymore. It was focus. She scrolled through the photos she'd taken the restaurant's candlelight, Ethan's hand on Madison's back, the kiss. The evidence was crystal clear. Every time she tried to look away, the image burned brighter, sharper. Her husband, the man who once promised her forever, had chosen to spend Christmas Eve with someone else while she sat home pregnant with his child. Her phone buzzed again. It was her sister, Claire. A strong voice, always calm. "Hey, Laura. You okay?" Lauren hesitated, then said softly, "I know, Claire. I saw him." Silence. Then Claire's tone hardened. "You need to hear something before you do anything. Ethan called me last week about refinancing the house. He said you agreed." Lauren blinked. "Refinancing? What? I didn't sign anything." "That's the problem," Claire said. "He took out a new loan against the house. I checked the documents your signature's forged. He's draining your equity, Lauren. He's planning to sell." The words hit like a punch. Ethan hadn't just betrayed her heart. He was taking everything. Their home. Their savings. Even the future she'd built for their baby. Her vision blurred. "He's stealing from me," she whispered. Claire's voice dropped. "You need to move quickly. I'll connect you with a family lawyer and a realtor I trust, Leon Wu. Don't confront Ethan yet. Get your finances safe first." Lauren hung up, her mind spinning. She opened her laptop, checking the joint account. The balance was nearly zero. Every payment this week, luxury hotels, designer stores, restaurant bills. Her name was still on the account, but her control was gone. For a long minute, she stared at the blinking cursor of her banking app, breathing slowly. Then something inside her shifted. She wasn't the naive woman who decorated Christmas trees and waited for her husband anymore. She was a mother fighting for her child's safety. When Ethan came home that evening, the smell of whiskey entered before he did. "Hey, baby," he said, pretending everything was fine. "You look tired. You okay?" Lauren didn't look up. "Where were you last night?" He paused. "Late meeting, remember?" She met his eyes, steady, cold. "Was Madison there too?" His expression faltered for just a second, then smoothed. "She's my assistant, Lauren. Don't start." Lauren slid her phone across the counter. On the screen, the photo glowed under the kitchen light, Ethan kissing Madison at the River Cafe, his face drained of color. "You're being dramatic," he stammered. "Am I?" she asked quietly. "Did you forge my name too, Ethan?" He froze. For the first time, he realized she knew everything. But instead of screaming, she just stood, picked up the Tiffany box, and handed it to him. "You left this out," she said. "Maybe give it to her other ear." "One." He opened his mouth to speak, but she walked past him, calm and terrifyingly silent. Upstairs, she locked the bedroom door and whispered to herself, "You think you're ahead, Ethan, but you've already lost." Outside, snow began to fall again, quietly, mercilessly. The storm was only beginning. The next day, the air in Manhattan carried that crisp winter bite that felt clean but cut deep. Lauren rode the elevator up to the 24th floor of the Park Avenue office tower where Ethan worked. The mirrored doors reflected a woman she barely recognized, pale face, neat bun, calm fury burning behind her eyes. She wasn't there for a scene. She was there for confirmation. In her coat pocket sat the flash drive Claire had prepared. Inside it were screenshots of bank transfers, forged documents, and the photo of Ethan kissing Madison. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched the drive. Beside her, an older man in a gray suit offered a polite smile. "Big meeting?" he asked. She returned the smile faintly. "Something like that." When the elevator doors opened, the lobby gleamed in glass and chrome. Receptionists in black blazers moved like clockwork, and the smell of espresso lingered in the air. She spotted Ethan through the glass wall of his office, relaxed, charming, laughing with two partners. And then she saw her. Madison, dressed in a fitted beige dress, leaning casually against his desk, whispering something that made him grin. Lauren's heart clenched. It wasn't just an affair. It was routine. It was their normal. She turned to leave before anyone noticed her, but the receptionist caught her eye. "Mrs. Cole? Ethan's wife?" Every head in the office seemed to turn. Ethan froze mid-laugh, his smile evaporating. "Lauren?" She straightened her shoulders. "Don't worry. I won't take much of your time." Her tone was calm, terrifyingly calm. She stepped into the office, ignoring Madison's awkward smile. "I just wanted to bring you something you forgot." From her coat pocket, she pulled out the Tiffany box and placed it on his desk. Madison's eyes widened. "Oh, that's yours?" Lauren finished for her. "Or rather, it was supposed to be. You left one earring at our house, Madison. I assume the other is still in your ear?" Madison flushed, looking away. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Lauren, let's not do this here." She leaned forward slightly. "Then where should I do it?" "At the bank. When they call about your forged signature." She set the flash drive down beside the box. "You've been busy, Ethan. Loans, new accounts, transfers. You should really password. Protect your files better." The room went silent. The partners exchanged looks. Ethan's face drained of color. "You went through my files?" "I went through my life," she said simply. "Turns out you were hiding in there like a virus." One of the partners cleared his throat. "Ethan, is there something we should know?" Ethan's voice cracked. "This isn't what it looks like." Lauren smiled faintly. "It's exactly what it looks like. Merry Christmas, gentlemen." And just like that, she turned and walked away, heels clicking softly across the marble. In the elevator down, her pulse raced. The baby kicked, strong and sudden, as if echoing her heartbeat. "We're okay," she whispered. "Mommy's taking care of it." 1. Her phone buzzed a text from Claire. "Leon says he's ready to move. Call him tonight. The house sale can be done in 48 hours if you sign the authorization." Lauren looked out through the glass as the elevator descended, the Manhattan skyline stretching beneath her. Somewhere between the twinkling lights and the falling snow, something inside her shifted. She wasn't scared anymore. She was ready. And as she stepped into the cold air of Park Avenue, she knew the next time Ethan saw her, it would be too late for mercy. Lauren sat in the corner booth of a small cafe in Soho, steam from her latte curling into the cold air. The city outside was loud and indifferent, but she felt strangely calm, like the storm inside her had settled into quiet precision. Her phone lit up with a new message from Claire. "Leon Wu is expecting your call. He's discreet and fast. Don't tell Ethan anything yet." 1. She dialed immediately. A confident male voice answered. "Leon Wu speaking." "This is Lauren Hayes," she said, lowering her tone. "Claire mentioned you could help me sell my house, quietly." Leon's voice was steady, businesslike, but kind. "Yes, Mrs. Hayes. I specialize in private listings. I'll need your authorization forms and a few details about the property. May I ask why you're in a rush? Lauren hesitated, then exhaled. Because my husband plans to sell it without my consent. There was a pause. Then we'll make sure he doesn't. 2 hours later, she met Leon at his downtown office, sleek, minimalist, with a view of the Hudson River. He was sharp in a dark suit, but his tone was warm. You'll need to sign an electronic power of attorney to give me full authority to sell. I can list the property under an anonymous holding to protect your identity. Lauren opened her MacBook Air, her fingers trembling as she reviewed the e-documents. If I do this, Ethan can't stop the sale? Leon shook his head. Once the papers are notarized, no. The house is half yours legally. You'll control the deal. She signed every page, her heartbeat steady. The final click echoed in her ears like the sound of a door closing behind her. Leon smiled faintly. You've just taken your first step back. That night, Ethan came home late again. He smelled of cologne and expensive whiskey, his coat dusted with snow. Lauren was sitting by the fireplace, laptop open, pretending to browse baby furniture. Hey babe, he said casually, dropping his keys. I've been thinking. Maybe we should rent the house out after the baby's born. You know, get some extra income. Lauren kept her eyes on the screen. That's a smart idea, she said softly. He smiled, relieved. You see, we're on the same page again. But in her mind, she was already picturing Leon uploading the private listing to his buyer network at dawn. Her home was no longer his weapon. It was her escape hatch. Later that night, while Ethan snored upstairs, Lauren sat at the kitchen table signing the final e-notary confirmation. The flickering firelight cast shadows across her face, not of weakness, but awakening. A notification pinged. Listing received. First offer expected within 24 hours. She leaned back and stared at the Tiffany box still lying on the counter. She opened it one last time, took out the diamond earring, and dropped it into her coffee cup. The sound of it hitting porcelain was soft but satisfying, like burying something that should have never existed. She whispered to herself, "You took my trust, Ethan. Now I'm taking your foundation." Upstairs, Ethan turned in his sleep, oblivious. He would wake the next morning thinking he still owned everything, the house, the money, the control. But by the time he poured his first cup of coffee, Leon Wu would already have 3 buyers lined up, and Lauren Hayes would be one step closer to freedom. And when the house sold, it wouldn't just pay her bills, it would fund her revenge. It was just after midnight when Lauren woke to the sound of thunder. The storm had rolled in from the river, wind pressing against the windows of the Westchester house like restless hands. She sat up, uneasy. The power flickered once, twice, then went out completely. For a moment, there was only the sound of rain. Then silence. She reached for her phone, the screen glowing faintly in the darkness. Ethan wasn't home, again. She'd stopped asking where he was. Every night came with a new lie. Client dinner, last-minute drinks, traffic. But tonight, something felt different. The silence wasn't empty. It was listening. She stepped carefully down the hallway, her hand brushing the wall for balance. Her belly was heavy, her breath short. A faint metallic sound came from downstairs, the sound of a door handle moving. Her pulse spiked. "Ethan," she called, her voice trembling. No answer. The sound came again, louder this time, a slow creak from the front door. She clutched her phone, ready to call 911, but then she remembered the spare key Ethan had once given Madison for emergencies. The realization cut cold. "No," she whispered. She grabbed the nearest thing, a flashlight, from the kitchen drawer and inched toward the noise. The front door stood half open, rain splattering the floor. But no one was there. Just the empty night, the wind, and the faint echo of her own fear. Then another sound, a knock from upstairs. Not loud. Deliberate. Like knuckles against wood. Lauren froze. "Hello?" she said again. Still nothing. The baby kicked hard this time. A jolt of life that snapped her back to instinct. She backed away, breathing fast. Suddenly, headlights cut across the living room curtains. A car door slammed. Then a familiar voice yelled, "Lauren, are you okay?" It was Danny, her neighbor. Relief hit like oxygen. He rushed in, dripping wet, flashlight in hand. "I saw the power go out. You shouldn't be alone like this." Lauren exhaled, the tension breaking. "I thought someone was in the house." Danny moved quickly through each room, checking every corner. "Doors were unlocked," he said when he returned. "You gotta start keeping them bolted. You can't trust." He stopped, noticing the Tiffany box on the table, the papers on the counter, the stack of bank forms. "Trouble?" She gave a tired smile. "Let's just say the fairy tale's over." He nodded, silent for a beat, then gently. "If you ever need help, you don't have to ask twice." When he left, Lauren double-locked the door, then sank onto the couch. The storm had passed, but her heart was still pounding. She reached for her phone and, almost by instinct, opened her photos again. The picture of Ethan and Madison shimmered in the glow. It didn't hurt like before. It burned with clarity. She whispered, "You can have him, Madison, but I'll take everything else." 1. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the framed wedding photo on the mantel, Ethan smiling, hand on her shoulder. Without thinking, she lifted it and dropped it face down into the trash. The glass cracked, echoing through the room. When the lights flickered back to life, she felt it that quiet, defiant calm. She wasn't the woman waiting for someone to come home anymore. She was the woman who'd learned how to lock the door herself. And upstairs, her baby kicked again, a reminder that she wasn't fighting alone anymore. Christmas morning arrived gray and cold. The storm had passed, leaving the world silent beneath a thick coat of snow. Lauren stood at the window, her reflection faint in the glass. She wasn't wearing makeup. Her face was pale, almost translucent, but her eyes were alive, sharp, unshakable. The house was too quiet. No Christmas music, no laughter, no husband pretending to love her. Ethan hadn't come home the night before. His phone had gone straight to voicemail, and Lauren didn't bother leaving a message. She didn't need an explanation anymore. She needed closure. She poured herself a cup of coffee, then opened the drawer that held the final envelope, the divorce packet Claire had prepared weeks earlier. The top page read, "Petition for dissolution of marriage." Her name, his name. The end of everything that used to be us. Oh. As she flipped through the pages, her eyes landed on a quote she'd written for herself at the top in pencil. "Don't beg for love. Reclaim your peace." She smiled faintly. Time to do exactly that. Her phone buzzed with a text. "Ethan. Merry Christmas. Staying in the city tonight. Don't wait up." Lauren laughed out loud, a sound that startled even her. "Perfect," she murmured. She opened her laptop, logged into the escrow portal Leon had created, and signed the final confirmation. The house was officially under contract, all funds wired directly to her private account. Ethan had no clue. By the time he realized, she'd be long gone. She printed the divorce papers, placed them in a sleek manila folder, and set it on his desk. Beside it, she left his Mont Blanc pen, the one he'd used to sign fake contracts and forged signatures. Poetic justice. Then she reached for a blank sheet of paper. Her handwriting was calm, deliberate. "Ethan, you spent Christmas Eve with your mistress, while your pregnant wife waited at home. I'm not angry anymore. I'm free. By the time you read this, the house will be sold, the account secured, and your lies documented. You wanted a fresh start. Now you have it alone. Lauren." She folded the letter neatly, slipped it beneath the pen, and stood back. The baby kicked again, gentle but firm, as if saying go. She walked through the house, one last time, the living room still smelling faintly of pine and cinnamon, the tree lights blinking softly. She touched the baby blanket on the couch, the one she'd knitted on nights when she still believed in forever. She left it behind. At the door she paused, glancing once more at the framed wedding photo. Ethan's smile looked plastic now, hollow. She whispered, "Merry Christmas, Ethan. You finally got what you wanted, no witnesses." Home. Lauren zipped up her coat, grabbed her suitcase, and stepped outside. The air hit her like ice, but it felt cleaner than it had in years. She loaded the luggage into her car, brushing snow from the windshield. Across the street, Danny watched from his porch, coffee mug in hand. "You heading out?" he called. She nodded. "Yeah. Time for a new address." He smiled. "Good for you. Drive safe, okay?" Lauren smiled back. "Always." As she drove away, the house disappeared behind a curtain of snow. The road ahead was long, uncertain, but it was hers. When Ethan returned later that afternoon, drunk and smug, he'd find nothing left, not the wife he'd broken, not the home he'd claimed, only the papers and the pen. And the letter that would end his perfect little world. 2 days after Christmas, the city looked washed clean, but Lauren knew better. She was sitting in Claire's apartment in Upper West Side, the divorce papers officially filed, the house deal finalized. Leon had texted her that morning. Funds cleared. Transfer complete. The money was safe. For the first time in months, she could breathe. She cradled a mug of peppermint tea, the baby's gentle kicks pulsing under her sweater. Claire sat opposite, scrolling through legal documents. He'll get the notice by tomorrow, she said. Once it's served, he can't touch a thing. 1. Lauren nodded, staring out the window. He won't take it quietly. No, Claire said. But let him try. That afternoon, Lauren's phone lit up. Ethan calling. She stared at the screen, her throat tightening. Claire frowned. Don't answer. But Lauren did. Lauren. Ethan's voice cracked through the line, soft, strained. Please, I just found the papers. What's happening? You tell me, she replied flatly. He sighed heavily. I messed up, okay? I was under pressure. Madison, she's nothing. I was just lost. Please, let's talk. Meet me. Lauren's pulse quickened, anger and disbelief tangling together. You're asking for a meeting now? Just 1 hour, he said. Please. The Plaza Hotel. You loved the place. Her lips twitched at the irony. Their first Christmas as a married couple had been at the Plaza. He'd surprised her with a Cartier bracelet and whispered promises about forever. Now he wanted to meet there to beg for forgiveness. Claire shook her head, mouthing, "Don't do it." But Lauren said, "Fine." 1 hour. When she arrived, the lobby glittered with chandeliers, gold garlands, and the faint scent of Dior perfume. Ethan was already there, sitting by the marble fireplace in his tailored gray coat. He looked tired, almost human. "Lauren," he said, standing quickly. "You look good." She sat, folding her hands. "What do you want, Ethan?" He exhaled. "Another chance. I can fix this. I'll end things with Madison. I'll come home. We'll start fresh, for the baby." Lauren's eyes softened just enough to make him believe. "You'll end it with her?" "I already did," he lied. She leaned forward, voice calm. "Then why is your phone still registered to her number? The one she used for your business accounts?" He froze. "I know everything, Ethan," she continued. "The forged signature, the fake sale, the offshore transfers. You didn't just cheat on me, you tried to erase me." He swallowed hard, eyes darting around. "I can explain. You always can." She slid a flash drive across the table. "Here, it's all your files. Every illegal transfer. Consider it my parting gift." He picked it up slowly. "You're not giving this to the police." She smiled faintly. "Not yet. You've got 1 night to decide whether to confess or let me do it for you." Ethan's eyes flashed between guilt and panic. "Lauren, please don't ruin me." She stood, adjusting her coat. "You already did that yourself." As she walked out of the Plaza's lobby, her heart pounded. Claire was waiting in a black Mercedes by the curb. Lauren climbed in, shaking slightly. Claire asked, "You gave him the fake drive?" Lauren nodded. "He thinks it's the only copy." Claire smirked. "The real one's in my safe. By the time he realizes, he'll already be digging his own grave." And it flew. Lauren stared out at the city lights, shimmering against the snow. For the first time, revenge didn't feel heavy. It felt justified. And inside the Plaza, Ethan opened the flash drive, unaware that his next move would destroy everything he still thought he controlled. The next morning, New York was buzzing again. The holiday calm was gone. Offices on Park Avenue and Wall Street were alive with traders, investors, and executives chasing numbers. Ethan Cole walked through the glass doors of his firm with forced confidence, wearing his most expensive navy suit and the Rolex that now felt like armor. He hadn't slept. His conversation with Lauren at the Plaza replayed in his mind like a broken record. He'd spent half the night combing through his laptop, panicking over what she might have found. Now, he carried the flash drive she'd given him in his jacket pocket like a ticking bomb. At 9 a.m., his boss, Richard Chambers, called an emergency meeting in the boardroom. The firm's top partners gathered around the long glass table, faces tense. A projector screen glowed at the front with the headline from the Financial Post: Cole and Baxter partner under ethics investigation. Insider trading allegations emerge. The blood drained from Ethan's face. "What the hell is this?" he muttered. Richard turned to him sharply. "That's what we'd like to know." Compliance received an anonymous tip with detailed records, bank transfers, false invoices, client payoffs. Every file points to your name. Ethan's pulse roared in his ears. "That's insane." "I didn't." Richard cut him off. "Save it. The SEC is already reviewing the materials. They'll be in touch by end of day. Until then, you're suspended." A murmur spread through the room. Ethan gripped the edge of the table, his voice shaking. "Who sent it?" Richard's eyes narrowed. The tip came from a burner account. Signed simply, L.H. Lauren Hayes. Ethan stumbled back, realization hitting like a blade. The flash drive, the files. She had set him up. Meanwhile, across the city, Lauren sat in a cafe near Bryant Park, stirring her latte with steady hands. She wore a simple gray coat, her belly now round beneath the fabric. She watched snow fall against the tall windows, calm amid chaos. Her phone buzzed a message from Claire. "News broke. He's under review." "We did it." Lauren exhaled, half relief, half disbelief. "It's finally happening," she whispered. At the firm, Ethan stormed out, phone pressed to his ear. "Madison, where are you?" Her voice came through the speaker, sleepy, irritated. "At the apartment?" "Why?" "They're investigating me," he hissed. "Someone leaked everything, our files, the transfers." "Did you tell anyone?" "What files?" Madison said, confused. "You're scaring me." He didn't answer. He hung up and hailed a cab, mind spinning. Back at Madison's apartment, Lauren's photo still glowed on the kitchen counter, the one she'd texted Madison anonymously the week before, the proof of Ethan's lies. "You're not the first. You won't be the last." By noon, every finance blog and corporate Twitter account had picked up the story. Ethan's reputation built over a decade was dissolving in real time. His phone wouldn't stop ringing. Investors pulled out. Clients demanded answers. Lauren scrolled through the news quietly. She wasn't gloating. She was breathing again. Justice wasn't loud. It was slow, patient, precise. Her phone rang. Leon Wu. "Lauren, the buyer's confirmed transfer. You'll receive the full payment tomorrow. You're officially independent." She smiled faintly. "Thank you, Leon, for everything." When she hung up, her reflection in the window looked different, not fragile, not afraid. She whispered to herself, "He built his empire on lies. It's only fair it collapses the same way." Back on Park Avenue, Ethan stood in the cold, watching security escort him out of the building. Cameras flashed from across the street. His perfect life, his perfect image, gone in a single morning. And somewhere across Manhattan, the woman he underestimated was sipping her coffee, watching his empire burn, one headline at a time. By evening, Manhattan was lit in neon and chaos. Wall Street had already chewed Ethan up and spit him out. Every finance network had his face on screen, disgraced partner under SEC investigation. The words scrolled beneath his photo like a permanent stain. Lauren watched from Claire's apartment, the TV casting blue light across the room. She didn't smile. She didn't cry either. She simply sat there, the mug of chamomile tea cooling in her hands. Claire entered quietly, carrying her laptop. "The SEC froze his corporate accounts this afternoon," she said. "And his company just announced a leave of absence. He's finished, Laure." Lauren nodded, still staring at the screen. "I thought I'd feel happy," she murmured. "But all I feel is tired." Claire placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've been surviving on adrenaline for months. This is what the calm feels like." Lauren turned the TV off. "He'll come after me. Then we'll be ready." Across the city, Ethan sat alone in a cheap midtown hotel room. The curtains were drawn, the air stale with old whiskey. Madison had left hours ago after another screaming match. "You said you'd protect me," she'd cried before slamming the door. He'd tried calling her since, but she'd blocked his number. Now, only his phone's endless buzzing kept him company: reporters, lawyers, creditors. And in the center of it all was the flash drive Lauren had given him. He'd opened it earlier, expecting leverage, but it contained nothing but one short video clip. He played it again. Lauren's voice filled the room. Calm, steady, devastating. "You wanted power, Ethan. You lied, cheated, and stole to get it. I wanted peace. I just needed to prove you never deserved me or this family. Merry Christmas." Ethan hurled the laptop across the room. The screen cracked, but the video's echo lingered. He pressed his palms against his temples, shaking. His empire was gone. His money frozen. His name ruined. Lauren's phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "You destroyed me. Are you proud?" She typed back only 2 words. "You started it." Then she blocked him. Later that night, she lay awake in the guest room, watching snow fall through the window. The baby kicked softly, rhythmic and reassuring. She placed a hand over her stomach. "We're okay now," she whispered. "It's over." But it wasn't over. Not yet. The next morning, Lauren went out for groceries. When she returned, Claire was on the phone, her face pale. "That was Leon," she said. "Someone tried to access your escrow account using your old credentials. Failed attempts multiple times. He's desperate." Lauren froze. "He's still trying to take the money." Claire nodded grimly. "Don't worry." Leon added double authentication. "He can't get in, but it means he's watching." That night, Lauren double-checked every lock before going to bed. She tried to read, but the words blurred. For the first time since leaving Ethan, she felt fear crawl back into her chest, not the emotional kind, but the physical kind that made you sleep with your phone clutched in hand. At 2:17 a.m., she woke to the sound of footsteps outside the apartment door. Quiet. Hesitant. Then, gone. She sat up, heart pounding, and texted Danny. "Did you see anyone near the building tonight?" He replied almost instantly. "Just passed by. Nothing yet. But I'll keep watch." Lauren exhaled slowly. For now, she was safe. But she knew Ethan's world hadn't completely collapsed, not yet. Men like him didn't surrender. They struck back. She stared at the ceiling, whispering to herself, "Let him come. I'm not the same woman he left behind." And as dawn broke over Manhattan, the city glowed gold, the calm before the next wave of war. 2 weeks had passed since the scandal broke, and Manhattan had already moved on to new gossip. But Ethan hadn't. His name was still trending on finance blogs, his photos still flashing on cable news, the word fraud glued to his identity. He'd lost his job, his clients, his reputation, everything except his rage. Lauren, meanwhile, was rebuilding. The house sale funds had officially cleared. She'd found a quiet apartment in Brooklyn Heights overlooking the East River. The space was small but warm, filled with sunlight and safety, something money could never buy before. Still, she could feel him hovering, like a ghost that refused to leave. That morning, her phone rang. It was Leon Wu. "Lauren, you need to come by the office," he said, his voice tense. "There's something you should see." When she arrived, Leon handed her a printed email. The sender's name was blurred under a fake address, but the subject line made her blood run cold. "Unauthorized sale. Intent to sue." "1. Leon explained. "Ethan filed a complaint claiming you sold the house illegally and forged his signature." Lauren's jaw tightened. "He's flipping the accusation." "Exactly," Leon said. "But don't panic. He's bluffing. I've got notarized proof of his own signature, the one he signed when he was drunk." She frowned. "You kept that?" Leon smiled faintly. "I keep everything." Claire joined them via video call, legal files spread across her desk. Let him dig his hole. The more he fights, the deeper he falls. Still, Lauren couldn't stop shaking. What if he finds a way to twist it? "He can't," Claire said firmly. "We have timestamps, IP logs, the e-notary verification, all legally binding." "Ethan's finished." Lauren leaned back, closing her eyes. "He's desperate." Claire's voice softened. "Desperation makes people reckless. Stay alert." Across town, Ethan was in a dark cafe near Times Square, typing furiously on his laptop. The smell of burnt coffee and anger filled the air. He'd been rejected from every firm in New York. Madison had vanished. leaving behind only debt and humiliation. He had nothing left but spite. He sent the legal threat to Lauren, hoping fear would bring her back. But the next email he received wasn't from her, it was from the State Bar of New York. Subject: formal notice of investigation, misconduct allegations. Attached was a copy of Lauren's counterclaim and the notarized evidence from Leon. His stomach dropped. They had everything: the forged documents, the fake accounts, even his drunk signature. His phone rang. "What the hell have you done?" It was Richard, his former boss. "You tried to drag the firm into your mess? You're toxic, Ethan. Stay away from everyone connected to us, or we'll file suit ourselves." "No." Ethan slammed his fist against the table, the coffee cup toppling over, staining his sleeve. "She's ruining me," he muttered. No, he corrected himself, she was finishing what he started. That night, Lauren sat on her balcony, the city lights flickering across the river. She could feel the tension slowly unwinding inside her. Her baby kicked softly again, steady and reassuring. She whispered, "He can't hurt us anymore." Her phone buzzed a message from Leon. Filed and closed. He has no legal standing. Lauren smiled faintly. The storm was dying. Back in his dingy hotel, Ethan opened his laptop one last time. The bank had closed his accounts. His lawyer had withdrawn representation. Even his parents stopped answering his calls. He stared at his reflection in the dark screen, the city's neon glow flickering across his face. "You wanted war," he whispered to himself. "Now you've got it. Won." And as the wind howled through the city that night, one thing became clear: Ethan Cole was running out of weapons, but not out of mistakes. It was just past 10 p.m. when Lauren felt something was wrong. The baby had been quiet for hours, unusually still. She lay on the couch in her Brooklyn apartment, one hand over her belly, the other holding her phone. Outside, the winter wind whipped against the window panes, rattling them like restless spirits. She texted Dr. Patel. "Baby hasn't moved much today. Should I worry?" The reply came quickly. "Drink something cold, lie on your left side. If you don't feel movement in 20 minutes, go to the ER." Lauren opened the fridge, poured a glass of orange juice, and sat by the window. She counted every minute, waiting for a kick, a twitch, anything. But nothing came. Panic began to bloom. She grabbed her coat, keys, and purse, about to leave when she froze. The front door was slightly ajar. She was sure she had locked it. A chill ran up her spine. Slowly, she stepped closer, heart hammering. "Hello?" No answer. The light from the hallway spilled into the living room, casting a long shadow hers, and another one. She couldn't breathe. The scent hit her next: whiskey and smoke. Ethan. He stepped out from behind the door, face pale, eyes bloodshot, hair disheveled. "We need to talk," he said. Lauren stumbled back. "Get out, Ethan. You're not supposed to be here." "No." He closed the door slowly, blocking her way. "I just want to see you. To talk about us." "There is no us," she said sharply. "You broke that." He laughed bitterly. "You took everything. My money, my name, my home, even my reputation. What did you expect me to do? Just disappear?" "Yes," she said coldly. "Exactly that." He stepped closer, eyes wild. "I loved you, Lauren. You think Madison meant anything? She was nothing. You made me desperate." Her voice cut through him. "No, Ethan. You made yourself that way." The tension snapped. He lunged forward, grabbing her wrist. "You're not leaving me again." Lauren's breath caught, but before she could scream, the sound of heavy footsteps came from the hallway. The door burst open. Danny, holding a flashlight and a baseball bat. "Let her go." Ethan froze. Danny's voice boomed again, steady and commanding. "I called 911. You've got 30 seconds to back off before they get here." Ethan's grip loosened, his face twisted with rage and humiliation. "You think you've won, Lauren? You'll regret this." Lauren's voice shook, but stayed firm. "The only thing I regret is not leaving sooner." Ethan turned toward the door, but not before knocking over a side table. The glass vase shattered across the floor, water spilling like a final punctuation mark. Then he was gone, disappearing into the night. Lauren sank onto the couch, trembling. Danny knelt beside her. "You okay? Did he hurt you?" She shook her head, tears streaking her face. No, but the baby. He hasn't moved. Danny's expression shifted instantly. We're going to the hospital. Now. He helped her to her feet, guiding her through the broken glass. Sirens wailed in the distance, blue lights flashing across the snow outside. As they sped toward the hospital, Lauren whispered a silent plea. Please, little one, hang on. Danny squeezed her hand, eyes locked on the road. He's not taking anything else from you. Not tonight. The city lights blurred as they raced across the bridge. For the first time, Lauren wasn't thinking about revenge or loss. She was thinking about life fragile, beating, waiting to survive. And behind them, in the apartment's dark window, Ethan's reflection lingered, a ghost of a man who didn't know this time he'd gone too far. The emergency room at Lenox Hill Hospital glowed with cold fluorescent light. Nurses moved like ghosts in scrubs, monitors beeped, and the smell of antiseptic filled the air. Lauren lay on the hospital bed, her face pale against the white pillow. Danny sat nearby, his hands clasped tight, watching every twitch of her fingers. Dr. Patel entered quickly, her voice calm but firm. Lauren, you did the right thing coming in. The baby's heartbeat dropped for a while, but it's stabilizing now. You both need rest and absolutely no stress. Lauren's breath shook. Did we lose him? Dr. Patel smiled softly. No. You and your baby are fighters. But I need you to understand something. Another emotional shock like tonight could change that. Lauren nodded weakly, tears welling. Danny reached over, brushing her hand. He won't get near you again. I promise. Dr. Patel hesitated, then said, Police are outside. They want a statement about your husband. Lauren's jaw tightened. Let them wait until morning. When Dr. Patel left, silence filled the room. The rhythmic beep of the heart monitor was the only sound. Lauren stared at the ceiling, her mind replaying the moment Ethan's fingers had dug into her wrist. The face she once loved had turned into something unrecognizable. Danny finally spoke. You need to press charges, Lauren. I will, she said softly. But first, I'm going to finish what I started. The next morning, Claire arrived with coffee and a folder. I filed a restraining order, she said, placing the papers on the bedside table. Ethan won't be allowed within 500 feet of you. Lauren picked up the folder and saw another document tucked beneath one marked for court submission. Inside were printed pages of bank records, emails, and legal transfers. What's this? She asked. Claire smiled faintly. Everything he ever hid. Madison came clean. She turned over all of Ethan's emails. He used corporate funds for personal gain, and she doesn't want to go down with him. Lauren blinked. She betrayed him? Call it survival instinct, Claire said. She said he told her he'd make her disappear if she talked. So she talked. Lauren's chest rose and fell slowly. I don't even hate her anymore. He ruins everyone he touches. Danny stepped closer. Not anymore. You've got him cornered. Lauren flipped through the pages. Wire transfers to offshore accounts, receipts for gifts labeled as client entertainment, even falsified charity donations. Every line was another nail in his coffin. She whispered. He thought he was untouchable. Claire nodded. Now he's a case file with his name in bold letters. Just then, Dr. Patel returned, smiling. Good news. The baby's strong. You can go home tomorrow. Lauren smiled for the first time in days. Thank you, Doctor. When Dr. Patel left, Claire said softly, You don't have to face him again. Let the court handle it. Lauren looked down at the pages, her voice steady. No. I want to see his face when he realizes the truth that I'm not afraid of him anymore. That evening, as the sky outside turned violet over Manhattan, Lauren sat by the window, cradling her belly. Danny stood behind her quietly. What are you thinking about? He asked. She smiled faintly. About how lies always look beautiful until the light hits them. He nodded, his gaze soft. You're stronger than you know. Lauren turned toward him, meeting his eyes for the first time, really meeting them. For the first time, she felt safe. And while the city below moved on with its noise and lights, a new truth settled inside her. Ethan Cole's time was running out, and this time, she wasn't fighting alone. The first week of January brought biting cold and icy sidewalks glittering under the Manhattan Sunday. Lauren was back home in her Brooklyn apartment, wrapped in a wool blanket, her baby safe and strong. Dr. Patel's words still echoed in her mind. No stress. But how could she rest when Ethan was still free, walking the same streets, pretending nothing had happened? Claire called that morning. You should see this, she said grimly. Turn on channel 4. 1. Lauren clicked the remote, and there he was. Ethan Cole, polished as ever, standing outside a luxury jewelry boutique on Fifth Avenue. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, and next to him, unbelievably, was Madison Reed. Lauren froze. Madison looked uncomfortable, her smile brittle, while Ethan played the charming victim for the cameras. We all make mistakes, he told the reporter, but I believe in redemption. I've been working with charity partners to rebuild what was lost. No. Lauren almost laughed. Redemption? She muttered. You mean reputation? Claire's voice came through the phone. He's trying to rebrand himself as a philanthropist, probably to distract from the SEC case. On screen, Ethan and Madison entered the boutique. The camera followed briefly, catching the name Cartier above the door. Lauren's stomach turned the same brand that had once symbolized his lies. She turned off the TV. I can't watch this. But fate wasn't done with her yet. An hour later, Claire called again, her tone sharper. You won't believe this, that reporter from the Financial Post you helped before. He's got new footage from the store's security cam. Ethan lost his temper inside. What happened? Lauren asked. He tried to buy Madison a necklace with a corporate card that was frozen. When the clerk declined it, he yelled at her in front of everyone. Madison walked out crying. Lauren felt an odd mixture of satisfaction and pity. He's unraveling. Completely, Claire said. And the media's eating it up. By evening, clips of the confrontation flooded Twitter and finance blogs. Ethan's name trended again, this time tagged with number, luxury liar. Madison's friends leaked screenshots of texts showing Ethan's manipulation and threats. The internet turned on him with surgical precision. Lauren sat by the window, watching the city lights twinkle. Danny knocked on the door, holding 2 cups of hot chocolate. You see the news? He asked, handing her one. She nodded. Yeah. It's strange. I thought watching him fall would make me feel vindicated. But it just feels sad. Danny took a sip, studying her quietly. That's because you've already moved past him. He's still trapped in the mess he made. She smiled faintly. You always know what to say. He shrugged. Firefighter instincts. We're good at walking into chaos and pulling people out. Lauren chuckled, then fell silent. Her gaze drifted to her reflection in the window. She didn't see the frightened woman she used to be. She saw someone surviving, someone rebuilding. That night, a final headline hit every screen in the city. Ethan Cole, under criminal review. Madison Reed cooperates with federal investigation. Lauren's phone buzzed again, a message from Madison herself. I told them everything. I'm sorry for my part in this. He's dangerous. Be careful. Lauren stared at the message for a long time, then typed back. Thank you. Take care of yourself. She set the phone aside and looked out at the Manhattan skyline, glowing like a promise. Somewhere beneath those lights, Ethan was losing everything, not by her hand now, but by his own. And for the first time, Lauren didn't need revenge. The world was delivering it for her. Late January brought a pale sun over New York, the kind that fooled you into thinking the world had warmed when it hadn't. The city was buzzing again, Fashion Week prep, stock markets rebounding, but for Lauren Hayes, everything had slowed to a careful calm. The hearings were approaching, and Ethan's legal collapse was almost complete. Still, one thing remained undone. Closure. It began with a message from Claire. His attorney requested mediation. He wants to meet, says he'll settle everything. Lauren read it twice, her chest tightening. He wants to see me? Claire sighed. You don't have to go. We can handle this on paper. But Lauren shook her head. No. I want him to look me in the eye when he realizes I'm not afraid anymore. The meeting was scheduled for Friday, at the Park Hyatt near Central Park, the same hotel Ethan used to impress clients. Claire insisted on coming with her. They arrived early, the lobby glittering with marble and soft jazz. Lauren wore a simple black coat, hair tied back neatly. She didn't dress for war this time. She dressed for peace. Ethan was already there, sitting at a small table near the window. His once perfect suit looked slightly frayed, his tie uneven. He stood when he saw her, forcing a smile. "Lauren, you look good." She didn't return it. "Let's get this over with." Claire stayed close, arms crossed, silent as stone. Ethan started talking fast the way he always did when cornered. "Look, I know things got bad, but the media twisted everything. Madison exaggerated. You and I can still fix this quietly. I can drop the legal nonsense. You can retract your claims. We can—" Lauren interrupted, calm but cutting. "You're still pretending this is about saving face, not saving what's left of your soul." He frowned, leaning closer. "I'm trying to be civil." "Civil?" she echoed. "You forged my name, stole our money, threatened me in my own home, and nearly cost our child his life. Civility isn't on the table." Ethan's mask cracked. "You think you're better than me now? Living in that little apartment, dating your blue-collar hero?" Claire's eyes narrowed, but Lauren held up a hand. Her voice stayed even. "Yes, because he shows up when someone's in danger, because he protects without breaking." Ethan scoffed. "You're delusional. You'd be nothing without me." "La." Lauren leaned forward, meeting his stare. "I was nothing because of you. Now I'm everything you can't be free." She pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. Inside were signed settlement papers, property transfers, and his financial disclosures, all proof of his downfall. "You'll sign these. You'll cooperate with the SEC and accept the plea deal Claire negotiated. If you don't, the FBI gets the rest of your files tomorrow." Ethan's hand shook as he opened the folder. "You can't threaten me." "I'm not threatening you," she said softly. "I'm giving you the only mercy you'll get." For a long time, he stared at her, not the woman he'd controlled, but the one who'd dismantled him piece by piece. Finally, he signed. When it was over, Claire gathered the papers, nodding at Lauren. "We're done here." As they stood to leave, Ethan's voice broke. "Lauren, do you ever miss it, us?" She paused, turning just enough to meet his eyes. "No, Ethan. I miss who I was before you taught me what betrayal looks like." Outside, snow began to fall again, soft and quiet. Claire linked her arm through Lauren's. "You handled that like a CEO." Lauren smiled faintly. "No. Like a survivor." And as they walked away from Park Hyatt's glittering lobby, Ethan Cole sat alone, staring at the empty chair where his power used to be. By mid-February, the city was waking from winter. The East River shimmered under the pale morning light, and the smell of thawing snow hung in the air. Lauren had finally moved into her new apartment in Brooklyn Heights, small, sunlit, with wide windows that looked out over the bridge. The place was quiet, filled only with the hum of life beginning again. Boxes lined the walls, but Lauren didn't rush to unpack. She wanted to breathe first, to stand in the space that belonged solely to her and the baby. Every room felt like a promise. That afternoon, Leon Wu stopped by to deliver the final paperwork from the settlement. "Congratulations," he said, smiling as he set the folder on her kitchen counter. "The transfer's complete. Ethan can't touch a penny." Lauren signed the last page, her hands steady. "Thank you, Leon. You've been incredible through all of this." He chuckled. "You'd be surprised how many women rebuild stronger than the men who tried to break them." After he left, Lauren opened the balcony door. Cold air rushed in, carrying the faint scent of river salt and fresh coffee from the cafe below. She leaned against the railing, one hand resting on her belly. The baby kicked gently, as if sensing her peace. Her phone buzzed a text from Danny. "Can I stop by? I've got something for you." She smiled. "Sure." Doors open. 20 minutes later, Danny arrived, carrying a medium-sized box wrapped in brown paper. "Housewarming gift," he said shyly, setting it on the table. Lauren unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a hand-carved wooden cradle, painted white and trimmed with soft blue fabric. Her throat tightened. "You made this?" He nodded. "During my night shifts. Figured the little guy would need a place to dream." Lauren ran her hand over the smooth wood. "It's beautiful, Danny. Thank you." He smiled. "You deserve something built to last." They stood there for a moment, the silence warm and unspoken. Through the window, the skyline stretched wide and glowing. Lauren turned to him, her voice soft. "I didn't think I'd ever feel safe again. Danny's gaze was steady. Safety doesn't come from walls, Lauren. It comes from people who stay. Something flickered in her chest, something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in months. Hope. They spent the evening assembling the cradle, laughing over misplaced screws and uneven legs. When they finally finished, Lauren sat back on the floor, exhausted, but smiling. "You know," she said, "it's not perfect." Danny grinned. "Neither are we. But it'll hold." For the first time, she laughed, really laughed. The sound filled the apartment like sunlight. As night fell, the city outside glowed with amber lights reflecting off the river. Lauren poured 2 mugs of tea and handed one to Danny. "Do you ever wonder how people start over after losing everything?" He thought for a moment. "They don't start over," he said. "They start different, stronger, smarter, with better company." Lauren nodded, her eyes glistening. "Then maybe this is my different." Danny smiled. "It suits you." Later, after he left, she stood on the balcony again, the baby's kicks rhythmic against her palm. She whispered, "We're okay now, sweetheart. We're home." 1. Below, the city kept moving, taxis, laughter, life. But for Lauren Hayes, time slowed, softened. She wasn't surviving anymore. She was living. And for the first time since that fateful Christmas Eve, she looked toward tomorrow not with fear, but with quiet, certain joy. March arrived with cold rain and gray skies, washing the glitter off Manhattan. The city that once adored Ethan Cole had turned on him completely. His name had become shorthand for greed and deceit whispered in boardrooms, mocked on talk shows, dissected in finance podcasts. Every article carried the same words: embezzlement, manipulation, betrayal. Lauren read the latest headline while sipping tea in her new apartment. Former Wall Street partner under federal investigation, new evidence from whistleblower. She didn't need to guess who the whistleblower was. Madison Reed had given the feds everything. Claire called moments later. "It's official," she said. "The FBI filed charges. Wire fraud, falsifying financial statements, perjury. They've got him cornered." Lauren exhaled slowly, her heart oddly calm. "So it's really happening." "Court dates in 2 weeks, Claire said. "He'll probably plead out, but he's finished. His assets are frozen, his career's gone, and," Claire paused, "he's facing prison, Lauren stared out the window at the rain streaking the glass. Then justice isn't just a word anymore. How? Across the city, Ethan was unraveling. His hotel had kicked him out for non-payment, and the luxury apartment he'd tried to hide under a shell company was seized by the court. Madison had cut all contact after testifying, and the friends who used to toast champagne with him on rooftops now ignored his calls. He sat in a cheap diner on 9th Avenue, hunched over a cup of black coffee. The waitress avoided his eyes. Even strangers seemed to know his story. He turned on his phone, desperate for distraction. But the first notification hit like a blow, a viral video titled, "The Rise and Fall of Ethan Cole." The clip opened with images of him smiling beside Madison at the River Cafe, then cut to screenshots of court filings and news headlines. Over it all played his own voice from an old interview. "Integrity is everything in business." He shut the phone off, gripping it until his knuckles went white. "This isn't over," he muttered. But it was. Back in Brooklyn, Lauren spent the afternoon organizing baby clothes, tiny socks, soft blankets, pastel onesies. The baby's room glowed in warm light, painted a calm ocean blue. Danny stopped by, carrying a small paper bag from the corner bakery. "Cinnamon rolls," he said with a grin. "Doctor's orders, happiness therapy." Lauren laughed softly. "You're starting to sound like Dr. Patel." Danny sat beside her on the couch. "You've been quiet today. News about him?" She nodded. "He's going to trial." Danny studied her face. "You okay?" She thought about it, then nodded. "Yeah, for a long time. I wanted revenge. I thought watching him fall would heal me. But it's not about that anymore. It's about knowing I survived." Danny smiled. "That's the strongest kind of victory." Outside, thunder rumbled over the river, echoing through the streets. Lauren sipped her tea, feeling the baby move beneath her hand. "He'll never touch this piece," she said quietly. "Not again." How? The next morning, the world woke to the biggest headline yet. Ethan Cole pleads guilty, faces up to 15 years in federal prison. Claire called immediately. "It's done, Lauren. He confessed to everything. Lauren stood by the window, the gray clouds parting to reveal the faintest sunlight. "Then it's over," she said softly. For a long moment, she just watched the city breathe. The chaos that once haunted her had turned into something distant, small, powerless. Behind her, the baby's crib stood ready, the future waiting, gentle and bright. And as the rain stopped and sunlight poured through her window, Lauren realized that sometimes justice doesn't roar, it whispers, quietly and completely, until even the ghosts go silent. The first day of April came with soft rain and an uneasy calm. The city smelled like wet pavement and renewal, the kind of scent that made Lauren believe, for the first time, that spring might actually bring peace. She had just finished organizing the nursery when a sharp pain ripped through her lower back. It wasn't the usual discomfort. This one stole her breath. She froze, clutching the edge of the crib. Another contraction followed, deep and insistent. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. "No," she whispered, "not yet." She was only 37 weeks. Lauren took a slow breath and picked up her phone, dialing Claire first. "It's time," she said between gasps. "The baby's coming." Claire's voice turned firm. "Stay put. I'll call Danny." Within minutes, there was pounding at the door. Danny burst in, rain still clinging to his jacket. "Let's get you to Lenox Hill," he said, already helping her into her coat. Lauren winced through another contraction. "He's early." Danny gave a small smile. "So was I. Maybe it runs in the family." The drive through Manhattan was a blur of red lights and flashing sirens. Rain streaked across the windshield as Danny's old pickup sped down the FDR. Lauren gripped his hand, her knuckles white. "If this kid's born in traffic, I'm naming him Toyota," she groaned. Danny laughed. "Then let's make sure he's born in a hospital instead." At Lenox Hill, nurses rushed her into labor and delivery. The world became a whirl of voices, monitors, and bright light. Dr. Patel appeared, calm as ever. "Deep breaths, Lauren. You're strong. He's almost here." Hours passed like minutes and centuries all at once. The pain was sharp, relentless, but underneath it was something fierce, almost holy. Lauren clung to it, to the thought that everything she had endured led to this. The chance to hold something pure. Danny stood at her side the whole time, whispering encouragement. "You've done harder things," he said softly. "You walked through hell. This is just the door to heaven." Dash. When the final contraction hit, Lauren screamed, and then came the sound that erased every nightmare she'd lived through. A baby's cry, high, strong, alive. Dr. Patel smiled, holding up a tiny, wriggling body. "Congratulations, Mom. It's a boy." Tears streamed down Lauren's face. "He's perfect," she whispered. They placed the baby in her arms, small, pink, breathing against her chest. His fingers curled around her thumb. The warmth of him was indescribable. The room, the hospital, the entire city seemed to disappear. Danny stood nearby, awe in his eyes. "You did it." Lauren looked up at him, exhausted but glowing. "We did it." Hours later, when the nurses left and the room grew quiet, Lauren gazed at her son sleeping beside her. She thought of everything that had led to this moment, the lies, the betrayal, the fear, and realized none of it defined her anymore. Claire arrived with flowers, her eyes misty. "He's beautiful, Laure." Lauren smiled weakly. "His name's Noah. It means rest. That's all I ever wanted." Claire touched her shoulder. "And now you have it." Lauren looked at Noah again, his tiny chest rising and falling. "He's the only part of that story worth keeping." Outside, the rain had stopped. The city lights shimmered on the wet streets like tiny stars reflected in puddles. Lauren leaned back against the pillow, a soft smile on her lips. And as dawn broke over Manhattan, she whispered to her son, "Welcome to the world, baby. We made it, and no one will ever take our peace again." 2 weeks after Noah's birth, the world outside Lauren's hospital window had turned soft and green. Spring sunlight poured across the East River, and cherry blossoms fluttered through the park like slow pink snow. Inside, the quiet hum of the nursery room was interrupted only by the sound of tiny breaths, her son, asleep in his bassinet. Lauren sat near the window, writing in a leather-bound notebook she'd bought on her last trip to Barnes & Noble before delivery. The first page read, "For Noah, so you'll know who your mother became." Her handwriting was slow, careful, steady the way her heart finally felt. She wrote about strength, forgiveness, and how pain could become a teacher instead of a cage. She wrote about love that didn't hurt and peace that didn't need permission. When she finished the entry, she closed the journal gently. On the bedside table sat an envelope marked with unfamiliar handwriting. Claire had dropped it off earlier, saying only, "You'll want to read this when you're ready." Lauren hesitated before opening it. Inside was a single sheet of paper, the ink faintly smudged. The letter was from Ethan. "Lauren, by the time you read this, I'll be in federal custody. Don't worry, I won't contact you again. I heard about the baby. Congratulations. I hope he looks like you. You were right about everything. I didn't lose you because you stopped loving me. I lost you because I stopped deserving you. Take care of him. Take care of yourself. Ethan." Lauren stared at the page for a long time. The anger that had once burned in her chest didn't come. Only sadness, not for what was, but for what never could have been. She folded the letter, slipped it back into the envelope, and tucked it inside her journal. Some things deserve to be remembered only as lessons. A knock sounded at the door. Danny stepped in, holding 2 paper cups from Starbucks. "Thought you might need caffeine to survive another night shift," he joked. She smiled softly. "You're a saint." He set 1 cup beside her, peeking at Noah. "He's got your eyes." "Poor kid," she teased gently. Danny sat across from her. "You get the letter?" She nodded. "Yeah. He's gone." Danny's voice was quiet. "You okay?" Lauren looked down at her son, his tiny hand curled into a fist. For the first time in years, "Yeah. I'm okay." They talked until the room grew golden with afternoon light. When Noah stirred, Danny reached out instinctively, letting the baby grab his finger. The sight made something inside Lauren shift, that unfamiliar, cautious flutter she hadn't felt since before everything fell apart. "You're good with him," she said. Danny smiled. "Guess I've had practice saving people." "One." Lauren laughed softly. "You still think I needed saving?" He met her gaze, steady and kind. "No. I think you just needed someone to remind you you're already safe." For a moment, silence filled the room, comfortable, hopeful, new. Later that evening, Claire stopped by with court documents. "Final ruling came in," she said. "Full custody. Ethan forfeited everything in the plea deal. You and Noah are legally protected." Lauren took the papers, feeling their weight. "It's over." "No." Claire smiled. "No, it's beginning." When they left, Lauren stood by the window, Noah in her arms, the city shimmering beneath her. She whispered to her son, "We made it through the storm, baby. We don't have to look back anymore." And as the sun dipped behind the skyline, Lauren realized something profound. Peace wasn't the absence of pain, it was the quiet that comes after you've faced it and survived. By late May, the city had transformed. Central Park bloomed with tulips and laughter, the air warm and filled with the smell of roasted chestnuts and espresso. Lauren pushed Noah's stroller along the path, his small head resting under a pale blue hat. Every step felt lighter, every breath easier. She had survived the storm and stepped into sunlight. Life had shifted into a gentle rhythm. Mornings with bottles and lullabies. Afternoons spent working remotely on interior design projects. Nights filled with the steady sound of Noah's breathing beside her bed. Peace wasn't loud. It was ordinary, and it was everything she had once prayed for. That afternoon, Claire met her at the River Cafe for lunch, the same place where Ethan's betrayal had once destroyed her. Now, she chose it deliberately, as a quiet act of victory. The glass windows glowed with sunlight, the Manhattan skyline reflecting across the East River like liquid gold. Claire smiled as she slid into the booth. "You sure you want to eat here?" Lauren nodded. "It's just a restaurant now. It doesn't get to own my memories anymore." They ordered coffee and salads. Claire handed over an envelope. "It's official. The court closed the case this morning. You're free, financially and legally." Lauren took the papers, her chest rising with relief. "I can't believe it's done." Claire leaned forward. "So what now? You've got a beautiful baby, a career again. Your peace back. What's next?" Lauren smiled faintly. "Maybe happiness." As they finished lunch, A familiar voice spoke from behind her. Lauren Hayes. She turned, and there was Danny, holding a bouquet of white lilies. He looked nervous in a clean gray suit, his hair slightly damp from the spring drizzle. "I hope I'm not crashing," he said with that easy half-smile. Lauren blinked. "Danny? What are you doing here?" Claire grinned and stood. "I'll take the hint. You two need a minute." She kissed Noah's forehead and slipped out. Danny slid into the seat across from her. "I was at the firehouse nearby. Figured I'd risk showing up uninvited." Lauren laughed softly. "You've never needed an invitation." He hesitated, then pushed a small box across the table. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet, engraved with two initials, L and N. "For both of you," he said quietly. "You've been through enough endings. Maybe it's time for a beginning." Lauren's eyes filled with tears. "Danny, He shook his head gently. "No pressure. Just think about it. You don't have to be alone anymore." The air between them stilled, tender, fragile, honest. Noah stirred in his stroller, cooing softly, as if giving his tiny blessing. Lauren wiped her eyes and smiled. "You know what the funny part is? For the longest time, I thought survival was my happy ending. But maybe it's this. Choosing something real." Danny's voice was soft. "Then choose it. M." Later that evening, they walked along the river, the skyline glowing in shades of pink and gold. Lauren pushed Noah's stroller while Danny walked beside her, their hands brushing once, then again until finally, she didn't pull away. As they reached the edge of the pier, she looked out over the city that had once been her battlefield. The wind carried the faint scent of spring blossoms. She turned to Danny, her voice gentle but sure. "You know, the last time I was here, I thought my life was over." He smiled. "And now?" Lauren looked down at her son, then back at him. "Now, I think it's finally beginning." Danny slipped his arm around her shoulders. "Then let's make sure this chapter's worth reading." She laughed, leaning into him as the sun sank behind Manhattan. And for the first time in a long time, Lauren Hayes didn't feel broken or lost, she felt home. Because justice had been served, love had returned, and peace, at last, had chosen to stay. So, that's how the story ends, my wonderful friends. You're still here, aren't you? If you've made it all the way to this moment, it means something in this story touched your heart, maybe softly, maybe deeply, and that's the beauty of it. Because Lauren's journey isn't just about betrayal or revenge, it's about rediscovering strength when life shatters. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's exactly what Lauren did. She couldn't control Ethan's cruelty, but she could control her response, and that's what healed her. In the end, she didn't just survive. She rebuilt. She found peace, love, and the courage to start again. Maybe you're facing your own kind of storm right now. If so, remember this. The pain isn't your ending, it's your beginning. Healing isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet, steady, and it starts the moment you decide to move forward. If this story moved you, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs hope tonight, and subscribe for more stories that remind you you are stronger than what tried to break you.